Hello, everybody. Hi, this is Fanny. Good morning. Welcome to this day 8 of the Chakra Adventure. So today we are going to talk about the crown chakra. The crown chakra. Exciting day. I was still writing 45 minutes before starting this. I was still writing, okay, what am I going to talk about? This is a huge topic. There is so much to say. So I was always feeling before starting, I always feel like, I'm not prepared. I don't know enough. But then I start taking notes and I'm like, there is too much. So it's going to be fun. Today, we're going to talk about the power of myth from Joseph Campbell. We're going to show an oracle called Magical Times. This one as well, Journey to the Goddess Realm. Other books and stories. So the theme, so the crown chakra is our higher chakra. Okay, it's over our head and it is related to the color purple and everything related to the consciousness or connection to the universe, to the cosmos, opening up our channel, what I always mention about painting. And when you're painting, you're more focused into the moment present, and you kind of forget about everything else. And then your channel kind of expands and opens. And this is when you start channeling, welcoming more information, more inspiration, creativity, and all these like stimulus, right, of the brain and the mind. And I also wrote, when I was preparing the class, I also wrote, let go of control of trying to have everything set and see how it goes. Yes, so we're going to talk about how to reconnect. We've talked all week about how you feel connected, to everything, how we are all a piece of the puzzle. And this is why I introduced everybody. And so our consciousness, this thing that connects everybody, that now is proven to be in the matter, but it's also in the history, in the culture, in the anthropology, in our mindset, in our humanity, what do we identify with? So you see kind of everything, and it related to our most inner strength and hope. It's the faith, right? If you don't have faith in life, if you're down, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe in tomorrow, in the future, the ecology, the technology, all of that, then you go against the flow, right? So our point is to always keep this faith, keep this higher energy, because we all have the polarity, and I wanted to talk about Robert Grant also today, because he's, I met him and discovered his work last year when I was painting. I'm going to show you. I'm going to do a screen share. I was painting a logo, right? And shortly after that, I discovered his page and I see he's doing his exact same logo. And when I was like, wow, this correlation, how, wow, we were, on two different paths. And then you realize, like I talked with everyone, you realize how we live in parallel worlds and our paths are connected and we're channeling the same information. So that was really strong. And so all of this makes you wonder about, this divinity, this higher power that we have to access everything. And I want to talk about it. So sometimes in my life where I really felt connected to this energy, for example, when I paint, for example, when I painted that Ujat, the one with the eye and around it stars, when I painted the stars, I felt like, I was painting the universe. And so I felt so big and the dots were so small. And I was like, well, is this how it feels like to paint the universe, to create the universe, you know, because you put yourself in this position of the creator. This is where creating artistic art or writing, all this catharsis work of writing in a journal or writing what we're doing right now, the Chakra Adventure, where I'm sharing stories, but that are also related to all this collective. So it's the catharsis power and kind of art therapy, you know, through the colors, through the understanding of everything. Then you can put word to it and transcend it. And it's so important because then when you talked about gods and religions, then people don't want to be have doubt in their face, right? So the beauty about it, and so this morning I was like, okay, so I need more information. I want to know what I'm talking about. Okay, so I start researching about the Greek gods and goddesses, the mythology, the Greek mythology, because this is what we learn in France, or the Greek mythology, how the Greeks gods and goddesses were related to planets as well, but you also find them in the Roman religion, or the Roman culture, traditions, stories, mythologies. Then you look at Egypt, or for example, Apollo, which is the god of the sun in the mythology. For the Inca, it's Inti, the god of the sun. We talked about it on Tuesday. So all these correlations makes you realize that, wow, we actually all believe in the same thing, you know? And then so I was kept researching, and I started seeing, you know, all kind of story. You see everything, okay, about the gods and goddesses, the origin of the universe. You have the scientific explanation. You have that even scientists, they still tell you that it's a miracle, you know, that science is also a miracle. And how this one that was reading, it was like how the gods, one god created the universe and had creating extension of himself, right? So they were considered like the sun galaxies, or the sun gods, the sun or children gods and stuff like that, and how they started fighting between each other, and to who would have more, like, you know, there would be the kind of like territories, right, or areas. Like the Greek gods, you know, you have the god of the strategies, you have the god of love, you have the god of I have everything here, the god of the oceans, you know. And so it's all always like delegated kind of into fields, even in these stories. But this one was like really violent, really like kind of sci-fi, you know, adventurers. And I was like, man, you really see everything and anything. And then I was like, well, you know what, that's good. That's good, actually, because what is the gods, the religions, the culture, the stories, the our mentors, the things and people and concepts that give us faith and motivation to keep going and believe in life, believe in yourself, believe in humans, you know, see the world differently. It's because we want to identify. Okay, we want to identify to a model, to a story, an ideal as humans, because we want to move forward. So it's good. If you don't identify to anything, then you don't project yourself in the future. And even I, that I consider myself someone really positive and cheering and everything, even I have these really low down times when like I really don't believe in anything, you know. And I imagine I'm not the only one. And also I have dreams, like the song says, you know, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. And it's the same for all of that. Okay, so if you're more like into actions, you know, some people, they like to wrestle, some people they like to competition, you know. For me, competition is stressful, but for some people competition is motivating, you know. It's like, oh, okay, you know, how can I do better than you and stuff like that. And they do that, you know. Here in America, you guys like the competition. I'm more like, oh, how can we help each other, be collaborative, which competition doesn't mean not helping each other. you know. And when I talk about Robert Grant and the resonance science and everybody I introduced this week, the beauty is that how they work together, how, you know, despite the time, you know, it's hard to connect and put everything together. You know, it's longer. Sometimes when I was at the university, you know, I'd be like, oh, I'd rather work by myself than working in a group, because when you're working in a group, you need to do twice as much work as making all your research, making your part of everything. Then they do their part of everything, and then how to put it together, and sometimes making the synthesis of everything, it takes longer than actually doing it yourself. Or just like when you're hiring someone, sometimes you feel like, okay, it's going to take more time to, you know, explain, blah, blah. Mostly if you're kind of like super picky, like I am, than doing in a team. So it's a skill. It's a skill to actually learn how to bring things together, how to find the best way to direct and serve the information, you know. So yeah, it's something to work on really as humans. So I wrote a bunch of notes. Yes, the logos. So if I go through all these topics, yes, gods are here to remind us who we are. Okay, divine being, God made us at their image. Yes, we're all extensions. So let's read a little bit. I'm going to do a share screen. I want to go through this first concept of the gods, and I want to talk about the logos. And I want to read an extract also from The Power of Myth. And you know, yesterday when I was talking about the synchronicities, about the eagle and the condor, it was crazy because the day before I was telling you like that, I was like getting so many synchronicities. And I was driving, and I ended up at the Eagle Park. And then I go home and I open my Facebook, and one of my friends who's traveling, she posted a picture with a condor. And that was like within the same, you know, 2 hours. I was like, wow, the eagle and the condor, you know, it's crazy. It is really coming together. Let's share the screen now. Okay, so under the lucky stars, okay, so the Romans more or less copied the Greek gods. So yeah, the Greeks first had the gods. See, Apollo, so the god of the sun. Mercury associated, so the planets were associated to gods, right? Hermes was the Greek associated with the planet Mercury. And I do believe, so Apollo, and I do believe also that the Egyptians have relations as well with the equivalents, right? With the gods of Venus, Aphrodite. Okay, so the Roman were calling them Venus, Jupiter, and the Greek was calling them Aphrodite, beauty, love, passion, earth, Gaia. So this is the oldest of the Greek gods is the god of the earth, the grandmother of Zeus. So you see how they all like, it's like a giant family. The moon. Artemis, the twin sister of Apollo, the goddess of the moon. As everything about Apollo was golden, everything about Artemis was silver. Gold and silver again, wow. As Apollo was the sun, Artemis was the moon. She, like her brother, was credited with the invention of archery, and she became goddess of the hunting, the wilderness, the animals, and chastity. The last of these was one of the long list of demands she made of Zeus. She wanted everything to be fair between herself and her brother, and for no man ever to touch her. Those who try regretted it. Okay, her hunting partner Orion ever won her heart, but okay, but you see, wow, it's always so dramatic. It's crazy. It's like Jupiter. Let's read this one. Jupiter. So Zeus, king of the gods. Oh, I love that there is a lightning. Yeah. Was attributed to the planet Jupiter. He was the child of Cronus and Rhea. So Cronus or Kronos? Because I think Kronos is the god of time. Had deposed his father, the Titans. Today, a Titan has positive connotation, but it was originally used as a pejorative term. Sons of, I don't know why the Chrono, the father time. Yeah, you see, so for example, in that, you also look at the etymology, like chronos in Latin is time. So all the words related, chronology, chronometer, all of that is relating to time. Okay. Let me see, stop sharing this. So you see, it's crazy because they're all gods. They're supposed to be the wisest, right? But no, at the time, in the Greeks, they were hunters. They loved the games, right? In all the sites you always see, there are these the games. The Mayan, they had this game, like they were literally throwing like balls of rocks of stuff. In Europe, the war was a game, the wars of territories and stuff like that. They were fighters, they were warriors. So their gods had to be aggressive, right? So they were scared of their gods, kind of. And you know, in the stories, like how the gods, they like, you know, what they do to each other, like they take the child or resuscitate the, I mean, you know, that's crazy, the story, but it identified with the culture that they had at the moment. So so yeah, so all along the history, we've always had this kind of like having the fear, you know, some cultures and religions would put the gods as like to fear them. But nowadays we're not looking for this. No, we're looking for the comfort, you know, of the comfort of the universe, the faith that, okay, everything's good, that everybody wants to love each other. So this also is evolving. And, you know, the image that when I was talking, I was seeing you know, this scene from Encounter of the Third Kind, when the ship gets out of the water. When there is like these primitive people and like the ship gets out of the water, but because of course it's primitive because they're in another era, right? And so once they see the ship come up, then they all of a sudden they're like worshiping like God. And in the end, I can't remember, but I think no, it's Star Trek. It's Star Trek. It's not the Star Trek, yes. So they're coming out of the water and they see, and the result is that because it's another planet, right? It's another planet where they're less advanced in their evolution. But it could also be that they're coming from another timeline. They could be people from the future, you know. In Egypt, in some of the hieroglyphs, you can see spaceships or helicopters and stuff like that. So it's like they were already seeing connected to this other timeline. So either they were like time travelers coming to, you know, draw that and tell them, you know, and literally draw that on the walls, which I don't know, maybe it's their own consciousness was able to travel to here and see, you know, like sometimes we can remember our past lives. We can also see things from the future and have like premonitions and things like that. So all that relating to the crown chakra, right? The ability to see, to connect, but to understand as well, to have like the bigger vision. Beyond the borders, you know, beyond the borders of everything. Yes, Sarah wrote. Another thing is like in one of my in the Metatrans Vibes painting workshop that you can find on mastermind.com, I talk about how Imhotep, right? The Imhotep cane, I was talking about it yesterday as well. Imhotep was like their architect and strategic counselor, and then they deified him, that they call him Tut. I think that's Tut, right? And the Greeks called him Hermes, right? That we just saw. So you see this connection, that he was from a human that had such great qualities and such great upbringing, okay, into the community and the society, that they deified him. Okay, so the gods, they're the idea, they're the concept, what the energy, right? That is, it's like a storm of energy. I don't know. We our energetic blueprint. Yes, our energetic blueprint, or aura, or colors, or code in the matrix, whatever you see it. And I wanted to talk about the Rykov effect. Have you heard about the Rykov effect? It's when you connect so well with someone who inspires you, or a genius mind, that you're able to comprehend all of a sudden. And if the person is really good at explaining their concepts, finding the right words, the logos is so important. We're going to talk about it right after. This is how the gods and goddesses, they communicate. Okay, and the nature, how it communicates. When yesterday everywhere I go, I get to the Eagle Park, oh, I saw the condor. It's all this is Pachamama. It's Pachamama talking to you all the time, and it goes through the ads that pop on your phone, the license plate that you see, or your son, he's bringing you, you know, a drawing just at this exact time, the images, you know, the images you see, I'm like, I have this jar here with all the people like holding their hands, and you see, I'm seeing the painting behind me. It's like the unalome, like the twists and turns, and the end, the blooming with the lotus flower. I did it on purpose to have this behind me because I think it symbolizes the crown chakra. You see how you have all your chakras, kind of realigning, you know, and because you see the spiral at the bottom, it's like kind of, then there is the twists and turns, and it gets like smaller, like lighter. Okay, you get lighter in the roots is what's got to be the bigger, and the roots, anchoring and everything, this is the toughest. This is what's in the matter, in the action, okay, when you have to manifest. And then when you're able to express and see, and then the understand, because seeing is a thing, okay, but understanding is the way you translate everything. Okay, so the lotus flower, when you finally you understand why the big picture, you're able to step back, you know, when you're stuck in your moment, sometimes it's hard to, but mostly when, you know, you feel like you're doing by yourself. That's why this rainbow bridge, you know, creating this rainbow bridge where I put all the colors and introducing everybody, because feeling like you work as a team and stuff encourages you, you know, pushes you. In everyday life, you have everything. There's the child, there's always something. Like, it was so hard for me to organize this week, because every time I'm trying to prepare and stuff, there is something comes, paperwork to do of everything. So okay, so yeah, the Rykov effect. So you're able to comprehend and align with that. And it's the same with and so you get closer to your own divine. Okay, the other day, I was like, can you ever change? Do we aim to change? Or do we aim to become more and more of ourselves? You know, if you see it this way, when you're like, oh, you have to change yourself, or maybe if you reconnect to your essence, to really what you're meant to be, then you're like, oh, I'm just becoming more and more of myself. So then you're not fighting with everything that's around you that you have to change. You have to know, I have to become the best version of myself. Okay, let me read this passage. Oh yeah, before that. Okay, after. Okay, let me read this passage. From The Power of Myth, by Joseph Campbell. Wait, that was the before, right? So I selected the passage before I started. Okay, I'm not gonna read that. It's a little long, but they're talking about the metaphor. It's interesting because the little extract from the mask that I was reading the other day, it was like, it's a metaphor, a symbol. And then I opened this morning and it was talking about the metaphor. What is the metaphor? Okay, it's an image that suggests something else. Okay, so it's a reference. Okay, so for example, I don't know if I'm going to read this. Okay, but that's interesting though. Okay, that's a good question. Okay, I'm going to read it. We know, so it's a metaphor, right? They're talking about metaphor. Jesus ascended to heaven. The denotation would seem that somebody ascended to the sky. That's literally what is being said. But what if that were really the meaning of the message? Then we have to throw it away, because there would have been no such place for Jesus literally to go. We know that Jesus could not have ascended to heaven because there is no physical heaven anywhere in the universe. Even ascending at the speed of light, Jesus would still be in the galaxy. Astronomy and physics have simply eliminated that as a literal physical possibility. But if you read Jesus ascended to heaven in terms of its metaphoric connotation, you see that he has gone inward, not into outer space, but into inward space, to the place from which all being comes, into the consciousness that is the source of all things, the kingdom of heaven within. The images are outward, but their reflection is inward. The point is that we should ascend with him by going inward. It is a metaphor of returning to the source, Alpha and Omega, of leaving the fixation on the body behind and going to the body's dynamic source. Wow, crazy. Yeah, that's true. Because when I started reading, I was like, really? That's gonna, you know? But yeah, what do you think about that? It's not like the physical body started levitating, was it? I'm curious. Do you think that was like literally the body that was levitating and ascending, or the soul coming out of the body and ascending? Yes. Aren't you undermining one of the great traditional doctrines of the classic Christian faith, that the burial and the resurrection of Jesus prefigures our own? That would be a mistake and then Campbell says, that would be a mistake in the reading of symbol. That is, reading the words in terms of prose instead of in terms of poetry, reading the metaphor in terms of the denotation instead of the connotation. And poetry, and Moyers adds, and poetry gets to the unseen reality. That which, Campbell said, that which is beyond even the concept of reality, that which transcends all thoughts. The myths puts you there all the time, gives you a line to connect with the mystery which you are. Shakespeare said that art is a mirror held up to nature. And that's what it is. The nature is your nature. And all of these wonderful poetic images of mythology are referring to something in you. When your mind is simply trapped by the image out there so that you never make the reference to yourself, you have misread the image. The inner world is the world of your requirement and your energies and your structures and your possibilities that meets the outer world. And the outer world is the field of your incarnation. That's where you are. You've got to keep both going, said the seat of the soul is where the inner and the outer worlds meet. So, yeah, I remember when I was in school, like my English teacher, he was a lot about Shakespeare, and he was always saying the signified and the signifier. And yesterday I was talking about this magic book, right? And they were like, there was the word, right? And the other signifier is like the type. So in everywhere they tell you about that. The poetry gets into the unseen reality. Culture also can teach us, but that's crazy that culture can also teach us to go past its concept. This is what is known as initiation. A true initiation is when the guru tells you there is no Santa Claus. Santa Claus is metaphoric of a relationship between parents and children. The relationship does exist, and so it can be experienced, but there is no Santa Claus. Santa Claus was simply a way of cluing children into the appreciation of a relationship. Life is, in its very essence and character, a terrible mystery. This whole business of living by killing and eating, but it is a childish attitude to say no to life with all its pain, to say that this is something that should not have been. You see, that's interesting because it's bringing a lot of all life is sorrowful is the first Buddhist saying, and so it is. It wouldn't be life if there were no temporality involved, which is sorrow, loss. Do you really believe that? It is joyful just as it is. I don't believe there was anybody who intended it, but this is the way it is. James Joyce has a memorable line. History is a nightmare from which I am trying to awake. And the way to awake from it is not to be afraid and to recognize that all of this as a manifestation of the horrendous power that is all of creation. The ends of things are always painful. The pain is part of their, wow, you see, that is very negative. Like, but I think he's trying to highlight, I'm reading by the end to see how the energy goes from the beginning of the book to the end of the book. Because you see how it's like, he's talking about the culture and how everything goes from like the negative, the sorrows, the fear kind of this other power, when nowadays it's all the opposite. We like, and you know why they say that in the religion, just like yesterday when they were saying, you know, the end, the era of Condor and stuff like that, is because it is the sickness of the humanity, like the depression. It's real. Like, I don't know. It takes like efforts to step up, you know, and go out of this having fear of everything, having, you know, when I got to the United States, for example, I was shocked of how many times I would hear like, it's the law, it's the law, it's the law, you know, like I would do something, but like, you know, not having my dog on a leash, or I don't know, you know, like going on the line and at the movie theater, literally there's no one on the line, you know, and instead of going like this, I go cut through, there is nobody. And you hear like, hey, you have to go through the zigzag, it's the law, like, you know, almost things like this, you know. And I was like, wow, what are people hiding behind? You know, what are we hiding behind the law, the religion and stuff? It's because like the mask, right? The mask, you see, it's funny because everything has a meaning. When I pick this scene, it's just because sometimes at night I'm just like bored and I watch some scenes to make me laugh, you know, or things to put me in a good mood and stuff. And but I see this image, I pick this image, of course, about the metaphor. It's never random, you know, it's about the metaphor, about how you're feeling when there's crazy stuff happening to you and you try to tell other people, you know, you discover your spirituality, your own divinity, you realize that you're not just subject to a god or the higher force that you have to please, yes or no, but you discover your inner, you know, wilderness and power. And when you have the people in front of you that just take it, you know, so this is the metaphor and everything. But yeah, the mask is very profound. It's very profound. It's how, you know, he's in his job and he's like, he doesn't like his life, you know, everything is like jinxed almost, everything he does is like blah blah. And when he wears the mask, it's all the opposite, you know, he's like heroes of all the situations, like so you get what I'm saying. And so he gets out of kind of like the veil, almost like the impossible, just like the Truman Show when he finally gets out, right? It's like, I like Jim Carrey. He's a very good actor, and the movies are like super profound. Even though he's a comedy actor, behind the comedy, you often find, you know, your message, you know, more funny, makes you. But so. Yes. And so we see, we were talking about the power of continuing the work, okay? Because this was written in 1988. No, copyright. I was like, that's not that recent. 1904, yes. Can you imagine that Patricia, that I interviewed, she met Joseph Campbell? Okay, so this is the beginning of the century. You see, so this energy of like, how everything is fear-based like that, and so God made us at his image. So we have the power. I have the power. When this is the second time I wanted to tell. When I felt like God, it happened to me once that I had this moment, you know, they call it the haha moment. It's like when we were in Mexico. We went to Holbox, and I explained this scene in my book, To Mexico. You can look in my We Are One World library. I have all of my travel books where I explain kind of, you see this, not only the trip, but all the transformation that you have during the trip, everything that you experience, the breakthrough and stuff like that. So we're in Holbox. It's an island, a remote island in the Yucatan. And the beach is really nice because it's like, you know, there's not a lot of water. It's super shallow for a long time. And so at night, it's completely dark. Like there's no stars. There's just a few stars, right? And we're like, oh, let's go swimming. You know, let's go swimming. Let's go swimming. And so we go swimming. And literally, like, it's completely dark. And so we're walking, you know, walking in the water, but because the water is kind of like super shallow for a long time, you go far, right? You start going, and so you're surrounded by water. You kind of lose, like, you know, okay, where's the shore? Where is my left, my right? You know, which way am I going? So you can lose your reference point. And you're in the water, and I started experiencing vertigo. That was weird. It's like the first time I had vertigo, even though I had my feet on the floor, but it was all dark. So I lost all my balance, and I was like, I couldn't hold on to anything. And I was like, oh my God, I was telling Daniel, I was like, oh my God, I had vertigo. Like, I don't know where to go and everything. And so that was in the dark. And so that night I remember that I don't know, I had a panic. I couldn't go. And so I didn't. But the second day I was like, no, I'm not gonna stay on a defeat, right? I'm going back. So we go at night, super dark, and this time there's like just one star, right? There was just one star that's like showing me the way. That was crazy, like just, you know, a little reflection in the water to show the way on the water at night. I was like, oh, look at that, this is like a gift from the gods, you know. And so we start going in the water, and there is this bioluminescence in the water. And so we start swimming, and everything is like electric, right? Glowing. So we're all like, we're swimming in the water, and it's so glowing. And then we go out, you know, and there is like these rocks on the side of the beach. And I remember like playing with my hands like this, and I was throwing water on the rocks, and it would light up like little galaxies. And this was crazy because I felt like God. I felt like I was like creating. It looks like I was painting the universe, right? I was throwing water, and there would be all these little stars lighting up everywhere. And I was like, wow, I'm God. Like, I'm creating a galaxy and this and stars and planets and stuff like that. And this same day is when I saw the like a giant spaceship. This was the same day, like during sunset, I was on the beach, and like we were walking, and there's like nothing in the sky, blue sky and stuff like that. We keep walking. A little bit later, we look and there is this giant triangle cloud, in the sky. And I'm like, wait, that wasn't here. Like, how does this thing get here? And then I go on the beach and I start looking, and it's like all these rays. I feel like behind the clouds, it's like there's rays coming out of the clouds. It's like the sun is on the other side. And like it's like little codes, like geometry and numbers, and like little things like that.
Mommy?
Yes.
When was I born?
2016, 2016. And so, yeah, like little equations, symbols, geometry, things coming out of the, isn't it funny? Like, yeah, so yeah, that was all like super mystical, all. You see how the energy, just talking about it, I can feel my frequency raising. It's crazy. Because yeah, I was feeling like I was lifting the veil, and I was seeing different perception of the matrix. One with the clouds, one with the water, the elements, right? And we're circling back to Poseidon, the god of the oceans, to Zeus, the lord of the skies, and so the elements, they're spirits, even though in the culture they've crossed, the culture has evolved through time, but they're still here with us. It's the Pachamama in South America. The Pachamama is everything. It's in all the elements, but you hear it all the time. And I would say that when you write a book, when you tell a story, you adapt to your audience, right? So let's say, for example, when I was in Thailand, I was in the shark bay and I wanted to go swim with sharks. So we go to Shark Bay, and it's natural. It's not like a tour where you drive to see them. No, it's literally, we go there on the beach and we start snorkeling. We don't even have diving or anything. We start snorkeling by the beach and stuff like that. And we see a bunch of fishes, and that was so beautiful. Like I was like snorkeling. I snorkeled so much that day that I had like the worst sunburn of my life. Like I was sick for a week after that. I got stuck on this island sick because I had a sunburn. I couldn't even move. I was just on my cabin watching the sunset and sunrise all day. The beauty of nature, that's all I would do, and eat. That was so beautiful. But anyway, so we're swimming, and all of a sudden my friend is like, hey, look, like he points like this, and we see a shark. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a shark. Like, okay, so we start swimming with the shark. And so I'm swimming over, right? We start following, and then after a while, he goes, there's kind of a few sharks coming, and so goes, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna stay, and then there is another shark. Then there is another shark, and I'm swimming like this, I'm floating on the top, and I'm following the sharks. Like there is this bunch of like 2-3 sharks, and I'm like, and they're like big sharks, right? They're like this, right? And so yeah, I'm there like for like an hour following it, just like, oh my God, I can't. It's so incredible. Can you believe this? They're not even minding me. We're just like swimming together. And all of a sudden I see they start like fishing, right? They start getting some fish and stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna stick around. And so this is after a while. I leave, and then I realized 2 hours later that I had a sunburn like crazy because of, well, but anyways, you see where I'm telling my story? I'm like, yeah, the sharks were like this. I don't know, there is a way you want to tell your story, right? And it's the truth. There maybe they were not like this, you know, but you know, the adjectives that you put in your story, the way you introduce your facts and stuff like that, they do that in every culture, in every audience. So if your audience has been suffering a lot during the time of when they, like I said, during the time of the Greeks, they were discovering lands, they were making maps at this time, right? This is when they were creating the maps of the world. So they were, the topic of the time was the territory, the repartition of the people and stuff like that. So they had a war culture. And so they were in these energies of kind of conquer and fear. So the gods were this way. Now we're in a time of really, we're past this territory. Now everything is paperwork, administration. We have to be organized. The qualities have changed. What is the quality in life? Is to be organized, to be a good person, to help each other, because now we have the comfort. Okay, so now we have the technology, we have the comfort. So what is the next step? Is to have the comfort for everyone, not just the people that are lucky that, you know, they made it, or not just certain categories of races or religions, or it's not just, you know, oh, she works at this place, it's not really great, okay, so, you know, this is, you know, they get what they have, you know. No, it should be, everybody should have the same comfort. Everybody, you know, the comfort, the decent, having a decent way of life and stuff should be the basics. So everybody could then focus their energy in tapping into the best of themselves and creating, you know, the creativity, and have access to education, and to question also, not just be it's the law, because when you're just like it's the law or it's like this, it takes away your own power of not interpretation, not identification, of questioning, but also your own ability, right, to make a decision, your own credibility. Like, it takes away the power of decision, the power of knowing, picking, choosing what's right, what is best. Okay, I know if I'm walking my dog, I don't need the leash because he stays next to me. If I'm going to walk near a road, of course, by safety for my dog and safety for the cars, I don't want to have my car running away on the road. I'm going to keep him on the leash. But if I'm going to the beach and there's nobody, there's not a lot of people, or if I'm in my street where I know there's no car, what is best? My dog wants to run, he wants his freedom as well. But that's my ability to judge, okay, this situation is good, this situation, you know. But when it's the law, you kind of, okay, I don't have to think, it's like this, so I don't have to think, I don't have to question it. I can stay in my, if I'm staying just in my lane, in my zone, then that's fine, you know. But then I'm not going to have problems. I'm not going to have get out of my comfort zone or whatever. But then you don't tap into, you know, the mask, like the what's behind the mask, what's really that you want. And this is something that every day I have to question, what is it that you know, I want to do next for myself, but then yeah, how to have it for everyone as well. Yeah, so magical times. I'm going to pull a card from that. So yeah, so that's the new the new needs of the society. So of course, of conception of the world is changing as well, and the people. And you know, at this time when the gods, and they were like, there is this like hierarchy, right? The hierarchy when you have this distance, but nowadays it's the proximity, you know, when what we need is like the proximity and feeling like, you know, Amma, I kept thinking of Amma today. Amma, she just goes around and hugs people, you know, she goes around and hugs people around the world. The Dalai Lama, like you see how he's like super, I've never talked to him, but I've seen interviews, I've seen, you know, a picture, you see the smile, you see you see that he has humor, you see that he has, you know, it's no longer this image of like the distance. We want the proximity, we want to be accessible, we want, and the more you're accessible to it, the more you realize that you are it. You are this essence also of everything. Initiation on Gaia, initiation. Matthias is talking about the gods and goddesses. I love this episode. I think it's season 3, when he's talking about the Atlantis and the gods and the goddesses that were actually other beings from other galaxies, right? That came to bring the knowledge. So just like this scene when, you know, they're coming out of the water and they're like, oh, they're gods. No, they're just other beings from another planet, but they idealize because of this is their ideal, you know, oh, we want to reach that technology. Oh, we want to reach this knowledge. You know, you bring things to each other, just like a mentor. I want to reach this level of mastery, mostly the mastery of feelings, you know, the polarity, having the confidence, looking beyond the trusting, you know, trusting, finding the faith. It's so important, because sometimes people believe in a religion and they're so because they're so desperate for faith, because yeah, it's so hard for us to have the faith every day. So you need to hold on to something that gives you, you know, the hope and anticipation. Something wonderful is happening. Change is in the air. Open yourself to blessings on their way. Yes. Yes, you know, the change is like anticipation, but I also see accumulation. You know, it's when it's been so long, you know, that when you're in a change, in a transition, is this concept of time that we need to trust more, the divine timing, the confidence. Yes, America, the ego, the confidence. This is really the spirit animal of America, like the confidence, the go-getters, you know. Be bold, rise up and stand tall. Feel the fire in your soul. Yes, I like it. I like it. The Celtic, I see it has a Celtic knot behind as well. I love the cards. You see how the F, it's like fire in the middle. It's like the logos. I wanted to talk about the logos, how the letters matter, the image matters. The Celtic, so he has like there's like a shield behind him, right? Oh, we're gonna do this tomorrow with Martin. And okay, one more from this one, cycles. Yes, cycles of life. So all this, why am I saying, okay, all this and so what? You know, this is Dean. Every time I say something and then I remember him saying, okay, but tell us why, you know, so what? So what? Because holding on to sacred books, like you see, for example, I always quote The Power of Myth, The Power of Myth, The Power of Myth, and then like reading extracts. But look, I don't want to judge because I've read it, but I don't remember. I was in a different energy when I read it a few years ago, like almost a few years ago. So slaying monsters is slaying the dark things. Myth grabs you somewhere down inside. As a boy, you go at it one day, and I did reading my Indian stories. Later on, myths tell you more and more and still more. I still think that anyone who has ever dealt seriously with religious or mythic ideas will tell you that we learn them as a child on one level, but then many different levels are revealed. Myths are infinite in their revelation. Boom. Exactly. You see? So holding on to like a sacred book, or when the times have evolved so much, we need to read them also differently on different layers. And wow, that's crazy. And taking the research of others to go further. But wow, that's, how do I slay that dragon in me? What's the journey of each of us has to make, what you call the soul's high adventure? My general formula for my students is follow your bliss. Find where it is and don't be afraid to follow it. Is it my work or my life? If the work that you're doing is the work that you choose to do because you are enjoying it, that's it. But if you think, oh no, I couldn't do that, that's the dragon locking you in. No, I couldn't be a writer. Or no, I couldn't possibly do that, and so and so. In this sense, unlike heroes such as Prometheus or Jesus, we're not going on a journey to save the world, but to save ourselves. But in doing that, Campbell says, but in doing that, you save the world. The influence of a vital person vitalizes, there's no doubt about it. The world without spirit is wasteland. People have the notion of saving the world by shifting things around, changing the rules, and who's on top, and so forth. No. Any world is a valid world if it's alive. The thing to do is to bring life to it. The only way to do that is to find in your own case where the life is and become alive yourself. When I take that journey and go down there and slay those dragons, do I have to go alone? If you have someone who can help you, that's fine too. But ultimately, the last deed has to be done by oneself. Psychologically, the dragon in one's own binding of oneself to one's ego. We're captured in our own dragon cage. The problem of the psychiatrist is to disintegrate that dragon, break him up so that you may expand to a larger field of relationship. The ultimate dragon is within you, is your ego, clamping you down. And then they go on to the ego. And there is a lot on the ego as well. Okay, I'm going to read it. What's my ego? What you think you want, what you will to believe, what you think you can afford, what you decide to love, what you regard yourself as bound to. It may be all too much too. No, it'd be all much too small, in which case it will nail you down. And if you simply do what your neighbors tell you to do, you're suddenly going to be nailed down. Your neighbors are then your dragon as it reflects from within stuff. So it's all the, yeah. But so you see this, I think there's things that have evolved from that point of view as well. Okay, I always say, for me, this, we need more than ever the community. Okay, this is what's, this is like what's hard for the world right now, is people who feel like they're on their own. And so glad, oh my God, I want to talk about this as well. How it is changing, Like I've received a bunch of help from a bunch of programs, like financial programs, or things that you wouldn't be eligible before, and now they're doing more and more here in America. Like in France, I know it's a system where we have helps all over the place, but here in America it's starting. It's starting. The health insurance, having free health insurance and stuff, that's new. It's also new. Okay, so I'm going to pull a card now from, of course, the journey of the goddess realm. Yes, because of course, have to do it, you know, the self, do it yourself. It's your responsibility and everything. It's great, but it's also tiring. It's also tiring. So the most beautiful is to know you are not alone. Okay, you are connected to the divine all the time. Okay, I'm doing cards. That's Marcy's things. I've been doing cards this week because I haven't done painting. This is my next. I want to make these videos, talk about this kind of topics. And I didn't plan on making these long videos either, but it just happened to be. The Queen of Sheba, negotiation. Iris, communication. Yes. The Rainbow Bridge. Yeah, I love it. Okay, another one. Which one? Tell me. Oh. Oh, wow. Crazy. That was the cup last time, and now the cup is... More knowing what that means. Okay. Self-healing. Okay. Right, I'm going to take this one too. Okay, so I put 5 cards. Just came out. Okay, so the first card, the Queen of Sheba, negotiation. Iris with the Rainbow Bridge. Communication. Yes. Why do I talk about these topics? Because the communication is important. Negation. It's a confirmation. So it's weird. It's a confirmation card with the negation, and the glass is spilled. I'm going to read what it means. Then we have Amara Omni, the self-healing, and she has the crystals, she has the geometry. Oh yeah, look, there is this, the star here. Look at this star. It's like the star with the 2 inverted triangles. I was talking about that, about the artworks, right? That connected me with Robert Grant last year when I was painting a star like this and he was painting a star as well. That was crazy. And look at the crystals. There's crystals everywhere. And the third eye and little frogs and little creators on the hair and everything. That's crazy. Crazy cards. And discernment, 8. Yes, the discernment. So to not, you know, I was talking because yesterday I was like, oh, if they say that, you can trust blindly and, you know, go further. Yes, like there are people that I trust, but if you have doubts, look for the information. Like I said, this morning I was looking, there was kind of like everything, it was a little bit like this, right? It's funny, look at that, it was a little bit like this. Lots of cards, cognitive dissonance. You see, you have confirmation but negation, so it's like a cognitive dissonance, and like kind of you see things that kind of say each other, things that makes no sense to you, but at the same time, yes, like the guy who likes the sci-fi movies and likes the war, what is going to make him understand this concept of divinity, not so much believe that, oh, this God that I talked to you this morning, that I saw like, oh, this God are creating the other, they're starting like killing each other, fighting, so then he had to hide the king, or whatever, like that was really dramatic and violent. But the concept was the same, is the concept of God extending his powers, his divinity to others and having areas, sectors, new fields and territories. That's why you become a specialist. That's why you have a life number in numerology. For example, your life path number 1, you're good at creating unity, community. Your life path number 2, you're good at group work and alliances, things like that. Your life path number 4, you're a fund builder, okay, the foundation, everything architecture. Maybe you're really organized, you like the law, and we need the laws, you know. I always say, oh, get out of your lane and, of the law and stuff, but no, I'm not against it. We need the law to protect people and stuff. I'm talking about rigidity. I'm not talking not listen to the law. I'm talking about rigidity. It's why in the law you have what we call jurisprudence, which is like a case by case. Once you have a case of something, for example, in France, they just had a case won from the essential workers, right? I think it's a nurse or something that sued her work, the hospital, for forcing her to take the COVID vaccine because they realized that there were negative ingredients inside the vaccine or something like that. And from that, now that is one case, everybody that was fired or forced to take their vaccine, because I don't know here, but in France, all the essential workers, if you work in a nursing home or company or medical hospital, whatever, you have to have a vaccine. So they forced people. Otherwise, either they lost their job. My friend Karin, she was asked, recommended to do the vaccine or she would lose her position. And so she did. She preferred to not accept being imposed something to her job, you know. So now that there is this one case, other people are going to be able to say, oh, hey, this wasn't fair. Okay, you know, where something is unfair, you should step up and not listen. But of course, we need a common structure. We need a framework for everybody also. But so, yeah, this is what I take from that. It's kind of a bit of everything. But yeah, so this guy who likes the video games and this stuff, he needs a kind of story to make him read about it. Okay, understand this concept of the extension, the divinity of connecting with our power and our magical things, and stepping back to see the bigger picture. This is what I was trying to do this week, because I was showing you, wow, first I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to say thank you and show myself as a human, and that I believe is connected to the collective energies. And I believe that if I'm talking about some topics or experimenting things, it's because there's other people, you know, who are experiencing that, and that in everyday life, you need to have friends, you need to have support, trust. This is our humanity. So I wanted to do all that and talk about everything, even though I haven't done an hour on each one of you, but at least a wink or mentioning or redirecting to your website, just to say, you know, thank you, because you guys help me every day. You know, particular thank you to my mentor, of course. And like I said, Robert Grant was inspiring me, the geometry to, like, we say a lot of the same things, like we think a lot alike. And so, yes, creating this bridge is so important. It's like, make it become visible. You know, there is this prophecy I was reading yesterday, and they were saying there will be this time when the beautiful rainbow will fade and disappear. And it's like, kind of like, because what does the rainbow, where is my card? Where is the card about the eagle? No, where is it? Where did I put the cards? What? Oh yeah, right here. Oh, it's gone. Yes. You see how the car with the eagle, it's like the fire, the power, right? And the rainbow, it's more like soothing colors. It's like the peace when, okay, you've crossed the fire on the other, what's on the other side, right? The soothing thing and everything. And so how the rainbow would disappear, and there would be the rainbow child, the rainbow children, or that Dolores Cannon also calls the waves of volunteers, or you have many names, okay? The star seeds, the light workers would come and bring back the rainbow, okay? All the sufferings that you read, it's not just that I love to like, you know, turn the knife in the thing, but it's when I wake up in the morning and I feel like that, even though I have everything to be happy and all the help, the support and stuff, I can't help but that the feeling those. Okay, so where do you find your magic? All of that, learning to evolve, yeah, through the time. I think you get it. I mean, okay, I've been an hour. I got to go today. Do some papers. Okay, so yeah, this rainbow, yeah, the prophecy, right, that says the rainbow children will come back to bring the rainbow. So that's what we're evidencing. That's why I'm putting all of your names out there, and you know, the power of collaboration and community. This is the new, like I said, the self-development, finding our best interest, but now that we have access to it, is finding the best interest for everybody, you know, and making sure that everybody profits. And this, I think that was a key thing that Adam was talking about, the NFTs, right? How it's a chain reaction. You know, you sell something and someone else creates but everybody down the chain like profits from it. And I think, for example, something nothing to do with this, but something that would be really great is that in the community associations or stuff like that, there would be our own compost, and I don't know why I'm thinking of that, but our own like compost and yeah, a place where we can educate, you know, the recycling. I don't know, it's something that's really, because it's a chain effect, right? How we process, just the very same way how we process our own emotions, how we process, transmute, right, to get to the best. It's the same with the matter. What do we do with the thing we consume? Okay, why the consumption, what you consume in the figurative and proper way, what do we consume impacts our body and our mind. Like I was mentioning in my family, like every time we're sick, I get sick half a day, and then everybody else, they're sick for like a week. And we don't eat the same. We don't learn the same thing. My son watches more TV than I wish. Luckily, we have a great school, like he's sick today, but I have a great school that he loves, and that is, you know, a Waldorf Steiner school as well, that is in connection with nature. They go to the park all the time. They learn through things they find outside. You know, it's amazing. It's so important. It's from the children that it all starts, to educate ourselves. And you know, like for me, I don't know, as we're talking about yeah, I don't know if I want to say it, but you know, it's like for me, when I get into what bothers me about the religion, is like what bothers me about the going to a church, for example, is like all the mosaics with like the death of Jesus. Like you see the suffering, you see the death, you see this culture of like, it's good to be in pain. It's good to suffer, you know, or like when you see the spiritual things, when you're like, oh, the dark night of the soul. Yeah, you're going through, you're burning your emotions, whatever, blah, blah, because on the other side, yeah, but do we need to go through it? Can't we just promote right away, like, you know, through our kids, to promote right away, hey, it's not okay to suffer. Okay, it's not okay to suffer. If it happens, you're not guilty. It's okay to find, you know, it's okay to say it. It's okay to, like, it's okay, but it's not okay. You know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be, we shouldn't have to. Well, we suffer because we're either we are mean to each other, or we don't understand each other, or we are stressed about our finances or health, you know, the biggest stress when someone is unhealthy, you know, or things that you feel you have no control over. So find back the power, reverse the mindset. That's why I have like my mentors, like, yes, it's, yeah, amazing. All right, so I think, yes, the logos, when you draw, you open up the channels and you connect to the timelines. And you see, I wanted to, yeah, I have the book, I have Robert Grant's book, Philomath, today. Of course, I wanted to mention it. So 45 minutes, like I was saying, 45 minutes before I start, I was writing down. And let me see. I was writing now, okay, what am I going to talk about? And I could feel, you know, his energy. Okay, what would he say? You know, how would he put this topic? And sometimes, you know, I'm connected to my idols, my mentors, the people I really love, and have this deep connection, and I can hear them. It's like the Rykov effect I was talking about. You can hear, okay, what would they say? How would they, you know, in this book, the first thing I read was like how the number 9 cancels in numerology, right? Something that when I would do the numerology theme, I would write, is one of the first things I noticed too. I was like, oh, the 9 cancels out when you count, when you add up the numbers and you're counting, the 9 yeah, cancels out. So I was like, oh, and then he finds out that in the equations, codings, or whatever, like his thing, right, that I'm still, it's like he's putting the equation, is showing, what I love is that he's showing how it's like a mathematical interpretation of the concept that I paint. If I'm painting something, and then he's going to come up with like a mathematical equation or something that explains and shows evidences that we are in a matrix, that everything is a code, is a geometry, is like has, yeah, this blueprint, right? This, so that's pretty insane. Music and sound. In their endeavors to understand the crown chakra, in their endeavor to understand the nature of music, scientists and philosophers have attempted to formulate the experience within a numerical and mathematical context. Of the earliest attempts is that of the Greek philosopher Pythagoras. One story goes, while passing by a hammer's shop, Pythagoras realized that specific hammers produce pleasant sounds when struck together while others didn't. He eventually concluded that for specific weight ratios, such as 2:1, 4:3, and 3:2, the hammers produced consonant notes, while for other ratios, the notes were dissonance. While his story's authenticity, what the match, energetic match, that makes me think of. while this story's authenticity cannot be verified, the keys concept sure can. Specific ratio to create pleasant notes while others don't. So we have the octave with ratios, the perfect fourth, the perfect fifth, 3 to 2, etc. Since then, music and numbers were forever bonded. Nevertheless, there were always some discrepancies between exact numerical models and the correct notes in which musicians tune their instruments. In this section, we will show that not only exact numerical models can be made to fit. Oops, my phone is ringing. I need to go. Yes, I need to go. Can be made to fit the correct musical tones, but geometrical shapes as well. This will enhance our understanding of the music theory, which in return will allow us to retune the musical scale into the correct natural Pythagorean tuning of 432 Hertz. The geometry of sound. The 432 tuning, geometry in music. That was crazy, you know what? Because one day, just to tell you how we are in the matrix and how we all have this power, we're foreseeing, you know, we're connected to other timelines. When you create, you're talking, you open up the channel and then you connect to other timelines. Like I said, maybe you see, I have informations in my book that I know were like sent from now, you know, that I wrote 5 years ago, and I'm writing some stuff that maybe I'm going to reread 5-10 years ago, and I'm going to be like, wow. But one day I was doing a post on Instagram and I was like tagging, you know, when I write kind of poetry, for me, it's music. So in the words, in the rhymes, it's important for me to make it sound beautiful, poetry. You know, when I was telling how you embellish your story, for example, oh my God, there's sharks. I was swimming with sharks. They were huge. They were, because it needs to be beautiful. It needs to be exciting, you know. And when I write, I want to beautify. So even if sometimes I do feel like if it's music, like he says, there is the dissonance and the good match. When you're writing the poetry, the music, the meaning follows through, even if it's not exactly the right words, but they do, because it aligns kind of. And it needs to have rhyme. It needs to have a dynamic, you know. When you study literature, they make you count the syllabus, right? If you take a poem, as you move, na 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 na, to make it like, oh, you have an Alexandra, for example, it's 4-4-4-3-4-3 or stuff like that. Just because you create a rhythmic, you create a rhythm, so you create a music when you're writing, because if it's soothing to the mind, if it's agréable, if it's delightful to the ears, you're more likely to remember it, to flow with it, and so it integrates better. And so I wrote something like this that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool music, you know, and I hashtag 432. And so 432 is the sound, to me, is the number that represents like the echo, the resonance, the impact, right? And I post this, and like my doorbell rings, like at the exact same time I'm posting the 432, there is someone like prospecting, or I don't know what it was, I can't remember. And my doorbell rings at this time, and I was like, wow, that was crazy. Like the sound, because I have like huge doorbells, like and you know, so all these kind of signs and synchronicity that aligns, and then you're like, okay, that's a fact, but so what? So what? So you learn to master it. You put it to instead of always be like, oh, I receive synchronicity, I receive images like guidance. Then you create it. You learn to use the technique, use the process, and create and manifest your reality, you know. And even though I'm always like complaining that I don't manifest fast enough, I'm not good enough, I actually manifest a lot. And it's really getting into this positive mindset that, we have what we need, and we should be grateful. For that. So yes, that was my message of understanding for today. You see, it's a work. We went from the root chakra or the crown chakra. So there's been a lot of work done, at least for me. I'm happy to share it with you. I hope you're living the same experiences and we're transcending all this together as we connect, establish relationship. Remember the lotus, okay? With time we're blooming now. We're blooming, and yes, let's try to transcend. All right, enjoy the moments that we have and the moments to come, and always understanding this. The keyword for today. Okay, I love you guys. I hope you have a great day. We will see you tomorrow with Marcy from Healing with Numbers. We're going to talk about the star chakra. Okay, so we're seeing, we're expressing, okay, we're identifying, we're grounding, shining, taking action. Okay, for me it was take great action to do this challenge, like committing to something every day, be on time and do a live and wear something related, work on that. Okay, and we're raising our energy. We still have this polarity that still keeps coming back, but it lasts least amount of time. Okay, you identify it. Okay, you write down in your journal, oh my god, like everything's horrible, blah blah blah, and an hour after you step back and you're like, okay, it's not right, it's not me, it's the collective. Okay, we identify it, we acknowledge it, we understand it. Okay, we see it, we express it. Yes, the heart. Okay, the heart is not just, okay, you see, you take action, we're doing the challenge. The root. Okay, what is this challenge? Let's anchor, let's kind of see, okay, break the ice and see what's going on. The sacred, okay, we're in a sacred temple, we're situating. The solar, we're taking action. Okay, we're doing the challenge, we're starting to realize, okay, it's related to our heart. The heart is not just, I love everybody, I'm Amma, I hug everyone, and whoa, super energetic. Yes, we all have this, but the heart is also, okay, sometimes my heart hurts, okay, and sometimes the heart hurts, and when the heart is in pain, the way you express yourself, it doesn't always come out of your mouth all peace and love. Okay, so how do you take, so this is the work you're doing to transmute it, okay, by the time. And I think we should have like the we should have an eye here between the heart and the mouth, because it's like what you feel. Yes, the power of the heart, the healing the heart is so important, because we directly linked to what comes out of your mouth and what you project. And like Joseph Campbell was saying, what you give out to the world has a resonance, has an impact, an echo, a ripple, snowball effect. So it's important that we mind our words and express our doubt. It's also minding our words, but it's also expressing them, expressing our mind, expressing our questions. And this is when you find the answers, right? Then you see, you understand, and you connect to everything else. And then the star chakra tomorrow, it opens up, because we have chakras outside of ourselves, and then we're going to go to the planets and the numerology with Marcy, talk more about the logos and the cards and stuff. Okay, and hopefully, so we've done all that, raising to our divinity, to our consciousness, elevating our vibration. Okay, and so then the stars, it's like the universe. We're going to wrap, englobe everything with it, like a torus, right? And embrace the consciousness. It's like you're flying. It's like the universe, the everything, the matter that is linked to everything. What the scientist says. Now my son is getting impatient. Okay, but yeah, so we're doing a lot of work. You see, it seems like a lot of blah blah, but it's blah blah that needs to be, that it's moving energies. It's moving energies, and you're doing it where you are, and we're all moving the energies. It's the spin, right? The talking is how the protons are. It's like the spin. We're all spinning, and then we're gonna make this giant crop circle. Yes, and raise the entire energy of everybody. So tomorrow, the universe, okay, with Marcy, I'm happy to finish the challenge tomorrow with Marcy. And then the day after, because she's super amazing sister and friend, and we're gonna anchor this, create a giant portal together. And she's in California and I'm in Florida, so tomorrow is like the giant bridge across America, right? The rainbow bridge. So you see, that is awesome. I'm excited. Thank you for watching. I hope you're having a beautiful day, and stay in touch soon. Okay, bye bye everybody.